Doordarshan had some commercials or advertisements that time. TV ads are known as commercials in America. So that was the situation in India then, and we go to the US, and one of my senior friends that time, they told me that sometimes in football, while in the little break called timeout, they show the commercials, they hold the game until the commercials are finished. It was that crazy, right?
Okay.
But nobody complains because everybody got the big money from it.
Sports as a career was never considered in India. Recently, only these things have started, where all the sports, different sports, parents are putting their children and they are asking them whether they want to make a career in football, whether they want to make a career in tennis, and they are supporting them. So things are changing in India. But please tell how the system in USA supports this type of career making in sports. Because that is where Indians would like to know, and our government or our organizations could pick up a few good things from there.
Good question. So I'll go back to my childhood when cricket, as I said, was a pure sport. It was a great prestige and honor to play cricket, and basically people enjoyed playing cricket, and that's how they played better and better. Money was not a big part. When they played good cricket for colleges and in Kanga League, which was a professional level kind of cricket series or league, the good players got good jobs in big companies to play cricket for them. They were not expected to do a lot of serious work, but that was the reward for playing good cricket. That changed in the early to mid 70s, as far as I remember, and the Packer Circus started in Australia, which was the first openly professional World Cup series in which folks became they got paid a very handsome amounts of money to play cricket, and many Indian players actually opted for playing for Mr. Packer. And the Indian government, that time especially, Indian government was very controlling type, and they told the test cricketers that if they play for Mr. Packer, they will not be allowed to play for India. But the great players like Sunil Gavaskar said, this is our right, this is good for the sport, the entire world, rest of the world in all sports follow that, and now time has come for India and us players to go that way. So they said, okay, if you don't want us to play for India, fine, because he was a great player. And then he played in the Packer Circus. And that's where professional cricket started in India. That playing for money, not for just for the country. I mean, people played for their city and state and country in Ranji Trophy and Dilip Trophy and Test cricket. But they also played for money. And as we know, that then became big, and then of course now the one-day series became commercial, and then IPL became even more commercial. We have seen players being auctioned on live TV. Yeah. So then cricket became purely about money. Unfortunately, money took such precedence and importance in cricket that betting became a big deal. We saw some good players getting in the middle of that, getting in trouble. Money was used to manipulate the outcomes of cricket matches, which was very sad for most cricket lovers, for us, because when people like me and us got started at that time, cricket was again like a religious worship. It was not just a game, and then it became so commercial that it was very sad.
But my question was how the system in USA is supporting sports. Actually, I want to know how US system or US government or no professional organizations or NGOs in USA, how they are supporting sports, that no, there is so much career making in sports, and since 70s, not now. That I am talking about even 30, 40 years back, they have been very advanced, or they have been modern in this type of thinking of supporting youngsters in making career in sports. India, it's very difficult. Either you be engineer or be doctor or become chartered accountant, and there is no other career is supported. But in US and some Western countries, they have been doing this since decades.
Right.
So what is the exactly core system, or what is that you might be knowing, or after going there you might have experienced it?
Sure. Another good question. So let me start with saying that firstly, when I went to the US, which was late 79 and after that. So now regarding the commercial side of sports, I think most sports have gone through that change at some point. For example, I remember in the tennis world, in Wimbledon, only the non-professionals were allowed. I think until the early 70s or late 60s, something like that. And there was a big problem there because Wimbledon, being the pure tennis people, they did not allow the commercial players to play Wimbledon. But in the meantime, because of the influence of television in America, most of the great players were playing professionally, and the All England Tennis Club that runs the Wimbledon told them that you cannot play here if you are playing commercial tennis or something like that. And just like Sunil Gavaskar I mentioned before for Packer Circus, these players said, okay, fine, then we don't want to play Wimbledon. So there was 1 year when majority of the big players did not play, and some unheard of players won Wimbledon, meaning came to the semi-finals and finals and then won. And that was a big wake-up call, and then Wimbledon, All England Club, Tennis Club changed their policy, and after that tennis became professional tennis, which was in other countries that had already taken place, especially America. Now coming back to your question about America in general, so you are right that in India, cricket was never seen as a career until this Packer Circus shift, where people could earn big money in cricket, bigger than probably most of the typical service jobs as they are known. In America, when I went there, all sports were commercial, except for maybe Olympic sports like track and field, gymnastics, running, etc., and other Olympic sports. But the sponsorships are still there. Big players become spokesmen for companies that manufacture products or provide services, and those players do advertising for those companies, even Olympics players. But as far as any sport in America, the big players see that as an opportunity to earn money. That is definitely a part of it. The interesting thing is the sport cycle is controlled differently. For example, in college sports, the big sports, number one big sport in America is football, right? American football, which is kind of like rugby plus other things. And that sport, as well as other big sports in college, the second biggest in college is basketball, and then baseball, and then there are other sports also. So there is an organization in America called NCAA, National College Athletic Association, something like that. and that controls all sports. But it is a well-known fact that as time goes by, meaning the years of college, when the players become big, as soon as they graduate out of the college, they are going to be huge players in the professional leagues and earn millions of dollars. So, for example, in football, then when the NCAA players are ready to play NFL, NFL is called National Football Leagues. That's a controlling body of football. And it's a private body. So like the way cricket is governed in India, nothing is governed in America. America is a completely free country and a capitalistic economy. So government doesn't set any rules. It's, of course there are laws, but government doesn't control sports or similar things. It was just done by private organizations. So National Football League is a private organization, and each team playing in the league is a franchise, and the franchise has the freedom. For example, when I first went to America, Oakland Raiders were the Raiders team, played for the city known as Oakland in California. 2 years later, when I moved to Los Angeles, they also moved to Los Angeles and became Los Angeles Raiders. And actually, luckily, next year they won the Super Bowl, which is the ultimate game in American sports. So that was a great experience for me. After that, several years after that, they moved back to Oakland and became Oakland Raiders again. Point is, the sports team is a franchise company, and that team is free to go anywhere and play under any name, whatever, as long as it's under the NFL umbrella, and legally their NFL contracts work that way. So the point is, sports is a completely free game in America. So that is a big difference, and hence, and the biggest, one thing in America is money making. As long as it is legal, it's justified. So nobody sees sports as, how can you play for sport, play for money and all that. No. Ever since early age, if you are making money in sports, nobody minds. And that becomes a priority. But on the other hand, the level of professionalism in sports is so high that if you don't perform, you're out.
Yeah.
So then 1 year you could be earning millions. If you don't perform, you're out. Then money stops. So and that the same thing is true. The money part in the Miss World and Miss Universe and those contests also. That it's about money. It's not necessarily about beauty. It's about, and other things. It's about money. So that's how America works, and that's how sports in America work.
So it's basically a demand supply type of thing.
Exactly. It's about demand supply.
Like a market.
Right.
Open free market.
Right.
Who will perform? One who performs will make a career. One who doesn't perform has to suffer.
That is correct. But the demand supply is actually on the television side.
Yeah.
Sports is of course big and important, but the level of professionalism in sports is of course of ultimate importance. But the money comes from television and other sponsorships.
Yeah.
It doesn't come from sports as such.
Yeah.
So that's why certain sports have big money. Other, for example, Olympics people, they don't earn a lot of money, although their skill set and hard work is also equally tough, but that's the commercial part of it. So that's how the money in sports works.
Sanjeev, since you have been working as an IT professional for years in USA,
Yes.
and now AI thing is coming, and America has done a lot of progress in artificial intelligence. We as a sports website would like to know how artificial intelligence will help sportsmen, or will it replace sports as a entertainment, or which sports are already using artificial intelligence?